Number 2 on the Avalanche trade board for trade deadline frenzy, one that has circled the Avs for multiple years now at center in Jake Evans. Let's be real here. Maybe the biggest appeal of Jake Evans, $1.7 million cost on that contract for a 28-year-old kid who's a right shot center. That makes a lot of sense from a cap perspective for the Colorado Avalanche and a guy who fills that center void for Colorado well.
Yeah, the problem is that he's one of the hotter commodities at this trade deadline. He wants to stay in Montreal. He wants to re-sign there, and if he does come to Colorado and hits the open market, he's going to get paid quite a bit more than 1.7.
Yep.
So those are all things that you look at and you go, well, but the reason that the reason that he is such a hot commodity is that he's having a career year, and by quite a bit. And he has been, his goal scoring has taken a huge spike, which is driving a lot of this interest, to be honest with you. But he's a tryhard. He skates fast. He works hard. He brings that heart rate and that physicality and that all those things that you love from a guy in the postseason. He brings that, and we're not he wins faceoffs, which is something we always talk about in Colorado, but we're not talking about a second line center here, a guy that we're trying to get to come in and play a huge role. And Jake Evans, honestly, with Jake Evans at 3C and Jack Drury at 4C, you feel solid about your centers going into a best of 7 series.
Yep.
If you have an injury, you don't.
Yep.
But that's also life.
Oh.
So, but with Evans, I mean, he's done so many good things this year. I think that he's sacrificed a little bit of the defensive responsibility because he's lighting it up offensively and he's driving more play than he ever has. He's also in his prime. He's also in a walk year. There's lots of red flags here, and I say that not because he plays for the Canadiens, but he could be a total landmine on his next contract. He could, but at the same time, he would be such a great fit for right now in this moment for this Avalanche team.
He's a righty, and that's a big thing for me as a face-off guy. You need a lefty, a righty. You got Jack, the lefty, him, the righty. I always take Mac out of those things, you know what I mean? Because
you need someone that actually wins face-offs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He does enough than worry about that. And I like the fact that the offensive side of things kind of went, this past season more than, maybe originally in his career. Montreal fans love him. I mean, the management love him. They want him. This is where you have to put your GM hat on, and I think the greatest thing for it would be to sign him. You know what I mean? But maybe the best thing for the organization is to go get the asset that this guy can give you. You know what I mean? In the situation that they're in, the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's more like. But this is a guy of all those Canadians guys that maybe he does get signed for all the reasons, or maybe it doesn't make sense because maybe he's the guy that will fetch the most. You know what I mean? On the open, not the open, but in the open season of the trade deadline. You know what I mean? So maybe somebody will be irresponsible there. You know what I mean? Like you're saying that term today that I really like with talking about players. But maybe this is where. Somebody's like, we need it. This is what we're doing, and this is what we're going to get. A little bit like Tampa did a few years back with, Barclay Goodrow or Blake Coleman, or all of a sudden overpay for what they feel is what they need because they're going for it.
Yeah,
I think he's that typical guy.
It rounds out the Avs decor very well. Does it get you that high-end guy that can be your 2C? No. But when you look at your third line, his offensive acumen is miles ahead of what Jack Drury is giving you, and his defensive side is solid. He's not hurting you on that end of the ice either. So it provides that punch that the Avs haven't had enough of from their depth forward core and specifically their depth centers. can you even call them centers? That they're playing center for the Avs, but are they centers?
He also has 6 shorthanded points this year.
Nice. Slap him next to Logan O'Connor and let him run.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're not looking, and Jake Evans is high on this list because he's such a good fit in how the Avs play and how he plays that it's such a natural fit. The playing with pace, playing with speed, and all that, it would be great. And having that depth center would give them, Evans, Drury, which one's 3, which one's 4. I don't even really care, man.
Yeah.
So I think it would be Evans then Drury, but ultimately they could align it in whatever way ultimately shakes out. And if those end up becoming 2 third lines, then you feel great about that. You don't want 2 fourth lines, but whatever. I think because Montreal had such a bad go of it right before the break, it took them out of that playoff run.
Makes them more sellers for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it makes it so, hey, they're going to be motivated to do this. You're not going to have to pry him out of there. Your hockey dads, your BU hockey dads with Kent Hughes, you just got to tell them to give Jake Evans to the Avs for cheap, and he can sign him in the summer.
That's it.
Yeah. Hey, they've got 3 7s in 2026.
Have them all. Have them all.
Early returns are the 7th round is where you want to be in the 26th draft. So
I'll broker that deal. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The 7th round, the rumor has it the NHL wants to cut the draft to 5 rounds in the future. So
Whoa.
No, it's too much.
Look, makes sense in a lot of ways. It's a great fit in Colorado. It's just that what happens after this immediate season that might make it difficult.
It's an expensive trade cost. It's an expensive new contract for a guy that you're saying has a hard ceiling in Colorado at as a 3C.
Yeah.
So how valuable is that really? It's fair to ask, but also we've seen what the Avs have done without that a lot over the last couple of years, and so it feels pretty damn valuable.
Only one player remains on the trade board. The final video is the next one you're about to watch.